Welcome to Thursday Night Knives. I'm your host, Bob DeMarco. Coming up, we spin the wheel of destiny and see who wins the Real Steel Arcturus. I talk about the Finch, new Finch that I have in my collection that is ever so charming, and I will reveal what that is shortly. And also, I want to talk about, do you consider self-defense when selecting a knife? That's either when you buy a knife or when you choose what to put in your pocket. And I'll refine that question to you when it comes up. But it really has more to do with, does that thought cross your mind? I've pretty much come to the conclusion that most people out there who watch the show or just period don't really think of knives as fighting implements, but you can't not think of it sometimes in terms of your own self-defense. So I want to unpack that a little bit. Hello, Michael. Good to have you here. You're the first commenter on this fine evening. Dave, how's it going, sir? Great to have you here. A new one going out to Dave. He sent me one. Hello. Hello, Brian. How are you, sir? A pleasure to have you here. Brian has a brand new Jurassic that just looks yummy. I'd love to try one of those. Never had one. Hey, Sean, great to have you here. Happy Friday Eve. Friday Eve. I see what you mean. That's three-dimensional underwater chess right now for my frame of mind. It is Friday Eve indeed. Tomorrow is Friday. It's always been my favorite day of the week because you get a little you get a little of what you got to do, and then you get the sweet payoff of all that potential of the 2 days off. And so yeah, happy Friday, happy Thursday. We have Mike Emler in the house. Hello, Michael in the house. We have the 1990s in the house. Mike, I always have your Yojimbo, your Kiradashi close at hand, man. I love this thing. It's become one of my go-to utility knives right here in this very room. All right, flashlight nerds. Before we get to the pocket check, I need recommendations. Okay, this is what I want. I want to get a flashlight. I have a couple of little ones that have been recommended through here, namely the I think it's the little O light, and I like that a lot. But I want to get a flashlight or a torch, as some of you call it, that is about the size of, say, an AD-20, and has like incredible stupid power, like blindingly bright. Hey, Ryan, great to have you here. We have North Code 1229 in the house. That's what it was designed for. Excellent. What I still haven't done is put a fob on it. It's dying for a fob. I like that sort of, because I want to get some red paracord to match the super cool grommet there. Hey, Blade Freak, good to have you here, sir, or dude. I'm a dude guy. I'm not a bro guy. When I say bro, it's usually out of joking. I think you kind of comes down that way. You're either a dude or a bro, and I'm more of a dude. Shane, hello. Great to have you here, sir. As always. Get the First Light, great guys. Get a First Light, great guys, great products. First Light is the brand name. Okay, since I'm old school, I am going to be writing these down as they come in and looking them up. First Light. I don't want anything too big or too bulky, but I want something incredibly powerful, blindingly powerful. And I'm thinking of this as Dave says Night Core. I know. I could just go back and read the comments, but this tends to work for me. Night Core P20i, USA made as well. Excellent. Night Core P20i. I saw a video, and it was one of those Business Insider videos with the Navy SEALs who give you like hey, Nick, great to have you here, and other knife people. It was one of those Business Insider videos on YouTube that has a Navy SEAL, and he tells you a little tidbit, a little Navy SEAL trick, to make your life easier. And one of them was carrying a super bright flashlight, not only for EDC and utility, but for self-defense. And he tells this little story. It could be true, it could be false, but probably true, where he was followed down a dark alley. I love that, dark alley. I'm like, why is he going down a dark alley with the girl? But he's walking down a dark alley with a girl, and he's accosted by three guys, and he takes out his super bright flashlight and just hits the wall with it and scares the crap out of these guys. They go running. Now, I bet there's a bit of a fisherman's tale in there, but I like the concept of blinding people. I have a very light a very bright firearms light. And I always think that would be a good thing, to blind someone, then move. So that's what I'm going for. Nothing too big, nothing too bulky, nothing too expensive either. Sean, hey, Bob, what shirt is that and where do I get one? I got this for one of the occasions. Maybe it was Christmas. My wife got it for me. I don't know. She comes up, she finds the coolest t-shirts. And but this came with a little booby trap built in. She said, I got this because knives are like your heartbeat. And I said, no, baby, you're my heartbeat. She was like, all right, you got it. See, guys, that's what you got to do. You got to be thinking ahead. Michael says, one of those old timey lamps you have to hold out in front of your face as you squint in your nightcap. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but it's got to have a mirror. That's the high tech part. A mirror so that it doesn't shine in your eyes, but it projects out 5 or 6 feet in front of you so you can see forever. James, great to have you here, sir. As always, Mr. Culp in the house. Oh my God, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to stop saying in the house right after I say this one. In the house. Okay, there we go. The P20i has dual tail switches, one for immediate strobe and the other for full power. I like that. I love the strobe thing, but I hate when you have to cycle through it to turn the thing off. And I think that might be the sign of a cheaper light, because everything I have has that. Super strong strobes are intense. Cool. I want people to have, seizures when sorry to anyone who actually has seizures, but what I'm saying is I want people to melt down when I hit them with the strobe. I don't know. It's just my latest little thought. But no real light on my EDC today, except for what I carry in my backpack. And my backpack goes with me, pretty much everywhere. It definitely comes with me to work. So I always have a flashlight close at hand, and then I have those little mag lights that everyone rags on me for having, but I have those on my keys because they're small and light and they're bright enough. All right. So everyone, tell me before I tell you. Now, actually, after I tell you, because it's my show and I'm going to hog up the time. I want to show you what I was carrying today. It was a great old school fidget carry. Old school meaning no flippers here. Like, what is this? Buck Rogers? No flippers on me today. I had the Emerson Sax on me today. Just a beautiful knife. I love this thing, and it's so sharp. I mean, it was sharp before I broke the tip, and then I sent it off to Jared Neve, and he fixed the tip and then just made it insanely extra sharp. And great. This was one of those Emersons, like most of them, like many of them, that was just terrifying when I first got it. I'm like, am I going to have to return this? The blade stick, the lock stick, and it just had its issues. It had its adolescent, went through puberty like most good Emersons do. And then it blossomed out the other side, just an amazing knife, steadfast and true. So I was carrying this today. Also, I keep an MXG gear clip on this. This is one of those Emersons that rides audaciously high. I just could not deal with it, so I got a shorter MXG gear clip. I really like it. I like the way it looks too, not for nothing. So I had this on me today, and then for no reason except to cut my delicious sandwich I made today of chicken, lettuce, and Colby Jack, was this, my Spidey Chef. I've been fiddling with this recently. Mike Emler, if you're still there, Mike Emler did a beautiful job on this thing. Hey, Ryan, great to have you here, sir. Shane says, hello, Bob and Jim. Finally made it live. Hey, Shane Miller, great to have you. Go back to Shane's comment for a second, if you would. I want to see what his... it's like a gorilla or something. Well, Shane, it's great to have you here. And then I saw who else was there. Multicam, great to have you here, sir. It's been a few weeks. JN, always a pleasure, sir, with your static. Mike Emler did a great job on this. This was one of those blades that I could just never get sharp. I don't know why. LC200N isn't supposed to be that challenging, but I could never get this knife as sharp as I wanted it. And I always wanted a clip taken off of that front portion of the knife to make it a little stabby. I saw a video of a fisherman when this first came out who caught a fish and pulled this out, and he had ground a bit more of a steep clip on his, and he went to town on this fish with it. I thought, that's cool. I really want to do that. So I sent this to Mike for a sharpening job and a clip job, which he did a beautiful, beautiful job cutting that thing off there and made it super, super sharp with his old school method on the stones. And then he gave me this really awesome finish. It's like a tumbled acid. I can't remember at this point exactly how he did it, but there's a bit of a complex process in getting the finish he put on this. And he asked if I wanted him to clean up the handle, and I said no. I love the snail trails on this. This knife is like what do you call it? It's like instantly old. I don't know. Sorry. I had the word and then it escaped me. But it gets those snail trails kind of like a Sebenza real quickly, and I love the way they look. So I just decided to have those stay. And then today I also had my quill. I just love this thing. Wingard Wearables quill. I just drop it in my pocket. I thought it would be not very comfortable to have in my pocket without things on the business ends, but it's not. It's worked out fine so far. Cloud9, great to have you here. What do you say? Love these Emersons. Only reason I won't buy one is liner lock, which is a shame because these are badass. A couple, if you're willing to look and spend the money, you can get a couple of those Emerson knives in frame lock. They make a big, robust one called the X. Someone help me out. I know that Edwin has one. I know that Alex has one. Big old Tanto blade. But there's also the Iron Dragon, which is very slender. It's right over there. I wish I brought it out. But it's very slender, and it also has a frame lock, titanium frame lock. And it's beautiful. It's one of my absolute favorite Emersons. So if you absolutely must have a frame lock, sir, it can be done if you want to look on the secondary market, basically. So what are you all carrying tonight? I am curious. James Moore, great to have you here, sir. Got my Monroe sigil and with Shibuichi pivot. Shibuichi, right? You pronounce every letter, right, in Japanese? That looks like it's Japanese. Shibuichi pivot. Okay, please explain, James. That sounds really cool. I mean, I know your Monroe sigil is really cool, but what is the Shibuichi pivot? Is that a special aftermarket thing that you had someone that you commissioned? Ryan says, I had the Walter Randolph Mini Persian with the Mike Norris XHP Sanmai Damascus on me today. Very nice, man. Very nice. I do believe I've seen that. I do believe you've posted that on Instagram. That Sanmai sounds gorgeous. I love the little line. I love seeing the line. I put my brass Panchenko Lancer in my pocket today just for grins. That's cool. Did it anchor you down at all? Brass can be heavy, but I know that Lancer is a pretty small knife. I love the look of that knife. It's beautiful. Jared, our latest gentleman junkie. Great to have you here, sir. Hello, Bob and Jim, carrying the Spidey Chef and Rough Rider work knife in blue-black micarta. Nice choice. Nice choice. See that? Great minds thinking alike. I, too, had my Spidey Chef today. Blue-black micarta on that work knife. I love that work knife. Had the Zahn Tanto with me today. That, of course, referring to the Chris Reeve Knives Umnum Zahn. Such a cool knife. I need to get one. Yes, I want to get one. Now it's crazy sharp. You got that right. It's crazy sharp. Crazy Sharp, of course, being the name of Mike Emler's sharpening business. And that name is an apt moniker because it is crazy sharp. And on a beautifully, let's see, I'm going to start using a different word. I think I use beautifully quite a bit. On a very thinly ground and thinly profiled blade. So you have a super, super sharp custom edge on such a thin knife. It's so nice, man. My chef is similarly beat up. Love it that way. I know. Let me ask you this, Brian. You have the Sleesh Bowie, I think, you recently got, the blue one. Does that beat up the same way, or is that anodizing kind of a hard coat? I'd be interested to find out. Kane says, good evening, everyone. Hello, Kane. We made it. It's almost the weekend. That's right. Oh, my goodness gracious. So, I bragged about my promotion several months back, and man, they are working me. It's like, let's see if this new guy cracks. And I'm not going to. I am kicking butt. But I got to say, I was telling Jim before this, man, I have a hard time waking up these days. Blade Freak, I absolutely love the look of worn blasted tie. Me too. And a lucky thing for me, Blade Freak, is that you don't, I have a considerable amount of knives and I rotate through them. And if you like that worn look, you don't have to wait too long on the blasted titanium to get it. So that's, from the look of my Spidey Chef, I've had it for years and we've gone through all sorts of crazy adventures. It's just not true. Mick Kime, great to have you. Love the Spidey Chef. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm a big fan. Big fan. I thought it was great beforehand, but I really love it with that special clip point. Hey, Bob and Jim, says Manny Z. I got the Cold Steel Black Talon 2 serrated. Awesome. Manny means business today. Manny means business. That is an awesome knife. Someone last week was suggesting that, maybe that was you, Manny, was suggesting that knife in a 5.5-inch version to go along with all the other great Cold Steel XL blades. How cool would that be? That would just be so awesome. Scott N says, thanks to the Knife Junkie, Slicey Dicey, and Doug Ritter, I bought the Ritter MK3 G2 fixed blade arriving tomorrow. Well, I couldn't recommend it anymore. I have it right here, as a matter of fact. I love this knife. And an interesting thing about it is that it's so utterly compelling without being actually really my kind of knife, which is ordinarily more kind of like this. Like, that's my kind of knife, This is incredibly practical, but oh my God, has it won my heart? It's a great knife. Feels really good in hand too. And plus, not for nothing, but if you pull this out, I carried this doing the lawn work the past 2 weekends. You don't feel like you're being that guy that I usually am, walking around with large, scary knives on your hip. I just need an excuse to carry that large, scary knife. This really is one that you could hand to someone and they'd grip it and they'd go, oh. And then they'd do their job and they go, oh, wow, that's sharp. And they'd hand it back. But there would be none of that freak out nature. So I'm glad that me and Slicey and Doug Ritter could convince you to buy that amazing KnifeWorks exclusive Hogue-made Ritter RSK Mark III. Whew. Michael says, today I carried the large Feldspar. Such a nice looking knife. That's the Mallory designer. Extensively modified by Justin at OCD for EDC and a Victorinox signature light. Excellent. OCD for EDC, does some awesome work. So it sounds like a great setup. I think I need to send more knives out for mods just for fun because I like it. Newly acquired SOG Seal XR. What a gorgeous knife. Massive tactical folder with super ergos and stirs the Kali blood. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, that thing is jimped all the way around from stem to stern. I mean, like as far as you can reach your thumb up the blade and then all the way around the back, the spine, all the way around and then all the way around all those finger choils. That thing is jimped from here till Tuesday. What do they say? Yeah, it's jimped all day long. I love that knife. Of course, I have the new Jurassic in my pocket today. That is such an appealing knife. And Brian, you mentioned in your Instagram post, I don't know why this thing doesn't get as much credit as it deserves, something to that effect. And I think I know why. Because when they first released it, they came out with those goofy scales. The G10 scales kind of had scales on them, but they didn't look cool like the ProTech fish scales on the TR3. They were like, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what they look like, but they were a little too evocative of like a Jurassic hide, the hide on some sort of Jurassic beast. And I think it was a little too high concept. And I think that's why. But now that they've come out with a regular texture and everything, I bet it it gets some traction. I hope. I think it's cool. Maybe I should get one just to help, do my part. JN carrying the small Doman Lancer and the 20 CV Delica and Eldris. JN is a 4-knife man, and I really highly respect that. 20 CV Delica, very nice. And the Eldris, always around the neck. Carried an Emerson Big Bulldog and Microtech Ultratech. Went hard today. Very nice. What blade on that Ultratech? My favorite is the double-edged with the serrations on top. Carrying the Kershaw Deadline and the ZT-0920. 0920, awesome knife. That's one of those regrets I have. I sold that knife to get a different knife. Now I wish I had that back, and then I would send it over to BGM Knives and have it hollow ground real thin. I mean, his knives are awesome. We all know this. John Miller's knives are awesome, but he does some really great regrinding work I've seen recently. People have been sending knives to him to regrind, and he gets a hollow grind so stupid thin. I would love to do that with that 920. I think that'd be a great setup. So what's the deadline? Max the Maker, how's it going, sir? Today I'm carrying the CQC 11K. That's one of your faves, I remember. I like that knife a lot. And the Milwaukee Fastback Compact. Now, I was looking at the Milwaukee knives at Home Depot yesterday. I don't remember which one the Fastback is. Is that just the opening and closing mechanism? There's one that's kind of a buttony thing. I'm curious about that. I was looking at these knives thinking, okay, these are all made by knife OEMs. I wonder who makes the off-brand knives. And by off-brand, I mean we don't immediately think of Milwaukee when we think of knives. We think of power tools and such. So just curious about that. Shane says, still loving the carbon fiber Native Chief. Still rubbing it in my face. Just kidding. And been playing with the Cold Steel Click Cut. Super fun for $25. Click Cut, that's the one where you can replace the blades, right? Has not appealed to me yet. I like how it looks with the Wharncliffe in it, but I don't know. Something about it reminds me of those hunting scalpels where you can replace the blade. And I think that's the point. But I have yet to get one of those or check one of those out. Cloud9's carrying his Black Talon 2 full serrations every day. That's 2 people tonight. I like it. Fully serrated Black Talon 2s. No one could call you underknived with one of those in your hands. I'm a big S45 VN. I'm on a big S45 VN kick, says Scott. That was the cherry on top. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is my first S45 VN, and I think I love it. I think I love you. But the thing is, I should really get that blade steel on something that I can carry and use a little more often. Maybe that means I need to get a new Spartan blade or something, S45 VN, just so I could check it out on a day-to-day basis. I think that'd be the responsible thing to do. It is a 2 fixed blade kind of day, Sean. That's awesome, man. Carrying Beauty, a Buck 102 Pro in S35 VN. Okay, so that's the smaller one of the recent S35 and micarta releases, and it's the smaller one, right? And the Beast, a Bark River Cub in 3V. What's the Bark River Cub? You know what? Here's the thing. I love Bark River knives. I brought one out tonight because I just passed one along to Dave. Dave and I made a trade, and he's getting my Blackjack, my Bark River made Blackjack 1-7 based on the Model 1 Randall. And it just made me think of how much I like Bark River knives. I have my V44 Bowie out that my dad got me for Christmas, for my birthday last year. Love this thing. And it's got major sentimental value too. And so I will periodically go to DLT trading and look up Bark River, see what's happening there. And Bark River has so many models, I cannot keep them even close to straight. So I'm curious what the Cub is. And it's a beast. So I'm I'm wondering what that is. Speaking of Bark River Beast, this is one of them. Love this thing. Beautifully sculpted handle, by the way. Oh, I said beautiful again. It's beautiful. Hey, it's beautiful. It's my go-to. Shibuichi is a traditional Japanese copper-silver alloy. Ooh, some new sigils come with it. Ooh, that sounds lovely. I'm going to have to look that up, see what it actually looks like. I have an OG Bowie, but not a blue one. It does scratch up similarly, but stonewashed mine. Okay. But stonewashed mine, though, so that I could put my scratches on. I got you. I got the OG Bowie, not in blue. It does scratch up similarly. Okay. And that must look extra nice on the contoured handle. Vaquero XL might be similar enough to the Black Talon. Yeah, but look at the very business end. I mean, I agree with you conceptually, except that business end, instead of a trailing point, it's such a severe hooking point that I think they need to do it. I think I'm convinced. Blade Freak says, any Hoback fans? I just bought a custom A8, and I am completely pumped about it. Brant, who used to go by the name Hinderer Boy, wasn't that? It was Skywarp, and then he became Hinderer Collector, and now I cannot, to be honest with you, I can't remember his screen name, but his name is Brant. He has kind of veered. He's cheating on Hinderer, his boy. He's now going into Hobacks. He's gotten a couple of Hobacks recently. So yes, that conversation might come back up later if he tunes in from Texas. Shibuichi is basically smelted together alloy of copper and silver using 75% copper and 25% silver, not layered like Mokume Gane. That sounds awesome, though. I mean, so does it? I'll ask one more question about this. I realize we're not, it's hard for you to answer back right quickly, but does it have, are you saying it doesn't have like a swirly thing? It just has a uniform but totally unique look or luster? Curious about that. And then I will look it up at some point. ZT0230 says Sean. First of all, thanks for being here, Sean. Every time I see your picture, I'm like, man, you look so much like the lead singer of a band I was in college. And that's a compliment for sure. Black Multicam says Ultratech DE serrated. That's my Ultratech. I have the one in Desert Tan like that with the black blade. Love that. Redacted. Good to have you here, sir. I went for small discreet carry today, the Microtech Makora 2. Well, sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes it's not the knife, it's the man carrying the knife, or woman, of course. The Makora is no slouch. Carried my Oz Roosevelt, very nice. I like the Roosevelt. And the SPK Shark, excellent, in 4V today. Had a bunch of cardboard to break down, and it didn't stand a chance against those two knives. I have not experienced the Roosevelt yet. I know Nick Stasa 23 says it's his absolute favorite knife in his collection. I know that the Shark is just, it is brutal to cardboard. The cardboard just chooses to part itself instead of get cut by that. Click and Cut is a crazy cheap work knife, or a great, I put crazy, is a great cheap work knife. Cool. Well, then maybe it merits and plus you get three different, I love you get three different blade shapes, Casper. I love your God damn it. Your avatar. I carried my Empress Tomahawk every day. Excellent. I have my Empress next to the bed, and I have my back ripper right here. This thing, man, I love Wingard wearables. Zach Wingard is such a cool and unique individual making these crazy implements. Have you seen the Stingray he's been working on? It's going to be specifically for throwing, and it won't have the curved blade. The blade will be straight. The spike will be straight and quite long, and it's like a very choppy fan-shaped blade. it just looks like that's going to be awesome too. And it also looks like a tomahawk I won't be able to live without. Look forward to that. Ash, great to have you here, Ash. Always a pleasure. Nick, Edie's here. Hey, babe. She's infiltrated the podcast, Bob. Who? I'm not sure who you're talking about. Max the Maker, it's a button lock utility knife. Oh, okay. Got you. I have to remember who, who's answering what questions, because I can't just take a comment. I have to ask a question back. He's now Knife Collector. That's what it is, which is a little generic for Brent. We all know him. He's a very unique guy with some pretty specific tastes, and Knife Collector just doesn't do him justice. So I'm sure he'll change that again, maybe at some point. Cloud9 says August 2nd, my serrated Mako folder should be here. Excited about that. Serrated Mako folder. Mako. Are we talking about Gavco? I'm sorry. Bastinelli. Gotcha. Oldie but goodie. Kershaw E.T. E.T. What the hell is the E.T.? Hey, Mark Nelson. Great to have you here, man. Which is the E.T.? Don't make me think, please. I don't carry, Ash says, I don't have to carry anything because my man carries it all. All right. Okay, Ash, I'm sorry. I may have called you sir. Sorry. I was thinking of Daniel Ash, the guitarist for Bauhaus and Guns N' Roses, I think. Or not Guns N' Roses. Love and Rockets. Stooley J says, I recently got one of those Knife Center exclusive Fox Surus. That's not a bad little knife for the price. Hard to go against a Voxnez design. Carried that one today. That sounds awesome. Anything by Vox, I love. Really, literally. But back to Ash's comment. Ash, I take it that you probably also were carrying something, though. Because what if you and your man got separated? Somehow, some sort of turn of events, had you away from him and you needed to cut something or, cut yourself free or whatever. So Ash, I'm convinced you had something on you. Let us know what it was. And if not, tell us what you're going to carry tomorrow, because you should have something on you tomorrow. Coming up on episode 234 of the Knife Junkie podcast this Sunday is John Demko of Demko Knives. John Demko and I had a great conversation. He's an awesome guy. I had a chance to meet him in person and hang out with him a bit at Blade Show this year. And just in the, half hour we spent talking, I was like, God, got to get this guy on the podcast, because he represents the other side of Demko Knives. The other side, meaning Andrew is kind of the innovator, comes up with these crazy things, and John does a lot of the facilitating, getting them in the hands of people, strategizing the business, doing business strategy, but also he puts these things together and sharpens them too, a lot of them. So it was a great conversation. Definitely tune in to episode 234 this Sunday with John Demko of Demko Knives. Kraken Tactical, good to have you here, sir. Been checking out your knives and drooling. I love them. Hey, guys, hope you're all well. Oh, geez, did I come on too strong? Sorry. Hey, Kraken, how's it going? Mark Nelson, Gravin and Gant Hawk production version of one of their customs. Had what they call HT E-toggle. Oh, okay. E-toggle lock. Interesting knife. I think I know which one you're talking about. Or maybe, I don't know. Is it kind of like the ball lock? The Spyderco ball lock, sort of, a little. Anyway, they make such cool stuff. I had a conversation recently with Josiah of Millet Knives, and he had some really great stories about the Hawks, working with the Hawks. If we got separated, she would call me to borrow my knife. Well, I think maybe you need to gift her a knife. I think you need to go through your collection and see, get your finest knife and give her the one right next to it that's your second finest knife. I don't think that's too much to ask. Thai Addiction says, I carried my TJ Fisher Sanmai Cobra 24/7. TJ Fisher Sanmai Cobra. That sounds awesome. Unfortunately, I don't know which one that is, Ty. TJ Fisher. Sanmai Cobra 24/7. Well, I mean, I know 24/7 is. You carry it all the time, but the Sanmai Cobra. Me with knives. Good to have you. I went small today, too, with the Hogue Microflip. Okay, the graphics guy where I work is a big dude. He's big and, big muscular guy. And he carries one of those microflips. And it's such a cool, I'm always like, hey, man, can I check out your knife? And I love that little knife, the microflip. But it is funny to see in his giant mitts. I'm like, because I gave him at one point, I gave him an XL Voyager as a gift. And he's like, yeah, he when he goes into the city, he carries that, which I think is funny because that's where if you're busted with it, you will definitely be thrown into the clink for that. I just wanted to take a brief moment to remind everybody about the Knife Rights Ultimate Steel. That is their annual fundraiser. It's going on right now. The early bird special period is over now, but you can still give money and still get a knife for your trouble. I'm not sure what they have available at this point, but they were giving away. Oh, well, yeah, that's the knife I got last year. The SOG. That's the XR Terminus XR. Oh, I see the resistance is all gone, or the resilience, or whatever that one is. Oh, all gone. Well, this is good. Oh my God, all gone. All gone. All right. So in any case, you can still give and feel good about it. And I think you're still entered into a contest to win a whole bunch of other stuff on the tail end of things, including things beyond knives like optics, firearms optics, and other parts. But look at that. All of the consolation gifts, not consolation, all of the participation gifts or whatever you want to call them are gone. That's a good sign. That means a lot of people are giving. And that is good. I am ashamed to say that the Knife Junkie podcast has not given yet. I just wanted to give everyone else a chance to. No, this is kind of how it works. It's kind of how I pay my taxes too. I wait till the last minute, and I will give to them like I have in past years. But maybe I'll make it a priority to do that very soon. Let me say, I won the early bird drawing, says Sean C. So what are you going to pick? How does that work? Tell me, Sean, what, because I saw the cases at Blade Show with all the cool stuff in it. And man, there's a lot of awesomeness to choose from. Ash says, I think he should give me his finest knife, not the one next to it. Well, yeah, let me just say this. If you're not carrying one at all, why should you get the very finest one first? I think the second finest should be good enough, at least to start. And now I'm sure you're always right, because that's how it works in this house. So your idea is probably correct, but see what you think. I don't know. Maybe that works. Sean C says, I got the Becker 6 knife set. Ooh, nice. Those Becker 6 knife, the Becker 6 knife set. Awesome. Congratulations. I don't remember seeing a 6 knife set. I do remember seeing Becker knives though. Michael Morgan says, and then he gets to buy the new finest knife, a new finest. There you go. That's right. Give Ash the best one. Do it. Because then, as Michael has so cleverly put forth, you get to get a new finest knife and then give that to her. So I'm not sure how that works, but why win one knife if you can win 6? Now you're thinking like me. And I am not a materialist, except when it comes to these fine, sharp implements. So there's a quick little thing before we get to the Gentleman Junkie giveaway, which is coming up right in the offing. This is the Arcturus by Real Steel Knives. This was given to us by, This was given to us by Dave, our good friend Dave. This Old Sword Blade Reviews. Sorry, my knife cam has gone out. This has been happening. If anyone has any ideas, I've been doing everything I can, and now I don't want to have to buy a new phone. This is a relatively newish phone. That's my knife cam. So It's an iPhone 11, and the video camera just keeps crapping out. I don't know what it is. But this Real Steel Arcturus has been bequeathed by This Old Sword Blade Reviews, and we'll be giving this away in just a moment. But I want to, our topic coming up is whether you consider self-defense when selecting a knife, either when you walk out the door or when you're buying them. Like, not necessarily are you buying it for self-defense, but does that factor in at all in your decision making when it comes to, should I buy this knife, or should I put this in my pocket? I am going to this sketchy part of town, or I am doing this or such and such today. I want to get into if that is a factor. And here's a little story that might get the pump primed. It's about a Marine who earlier this month thwarted a killing. Someone was here. I'll just briefly read the cool part of this article. One Lance Corporal Tercel Bird just finished his basic training at Parris Island, and he was taking his first leave from base in Savannah, Georgia. And as Bird was returning to his room from breakfast, he's at a motel that morning, and was crossing the lobby, he heard shrieks coming from a hallway behind the reception desk. The screams, quote, "The scream was so horrible," he said, "that scream was enough for me to jump over the counter and go see what's happening." See, now that's someone who runs towards danger. I love that. After sprinting down the hallway towards the commotion, he found a man clutching a knife in one hand and the motel receptionist's hair in the other. He saw blood dripping from her hand. At the sight of the blood, Bird sprang into action, jumping towards the attacker and knocking him to the ground. Bird pulled the woman behind him. He was trying to stab me, and I was trying to take the knife out of his hands, but he was strong. He wasn't normal. He was on something. Bird repeatedly pounded the man in the head with his knee, love it, until the man gave up the attack and fled. The young Marine led the bleeding receptionist to the stairwell, where he used a motel bed sheet as a bandage. And if you read on, you'll see the scumbag turned himself in after a manhunt. Love it. I love that. So here's a guy who is young and fearless, but you don't have to be young. That's my own little caveat. But here's a guy who's young and fearless, and he heard someone in distress, and he knew that he could do something about it. And he ran and he took care of business. Now, not everyone is a Marine fresh out of boot camp, and maybe that's not always the best option. But, maybe picking up a heavy ashtray or a chair or something and using that would be better for most people who aren't Marines. But the fact that this guy jumped in and saved this woman's life with a knife, I mean, I've heard a lot of people more experienced than I say that they would much rather be shot than stabbed. I don't know if anyone out there who has been either shot or stabbed has an opinion on that. A guy I work with has been both, and I'm not going to say he liked being shot, but he would prefer that. And so this guy, this Lance Corporal Tercel Bird, saved a woman's life being fearless, and I love that. And it was against a knife. And even in the most ridiculous martial arts schools, you will frequently hear someone say that the only person who wins the knife fight is the guy who dies last, or you'll hear them say, never enter in a knife engagement without another weapon or some sort of equalizer. And it sounds like this guy's equalizer was his courage and his Marine training. What do you think of that story? I mean, that's a pretty awesome, heroic story, and I love it. And Lance Corporal Tercel Bird, you are a hero in my book, and I know you're a hero in that hotel worker's book. So there you go. It's steel will, not real steel. Damn, I do that all the time. Sorry, Dave. I got the box right in front of me right here. Steel will, not real steel. And I don't know if anyone feels this way, but I feel like steel will is definitely a step above real steel. I'm not sure if everyone feels that way, but I built one of my speed round questions around that very concept, and I believe it to be true. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the correction. I appreciate it. Black Multicam says 99% self-defense, 1% other. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, me too. But that's why we carry multiple knives. One of them is for self-defense, for instance, something with a wave that you could bring to bear quickly. And then say, here's a little teaser. And then say you have this for the kind of EDC work you have to do in front of people. Me with Knives says, if I'm going fishing, I'll choose something larger just in case. All right. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this let's do the Gentleman Junkie giveaway, and then we'll talk about this, because that's not fair. I've gone on at length, almost an hour. So let's do this right now. Blade Freak, definitely grab something to swing when I'm going against a knife. Yeah. Like a chair, baseball bat, 45. I let my 45 handle self-defense, like I just said. If I'm down to only my knife, something went terribly wrong. Yeah. If you're down to your 45, probably something went terribly wrong. Word has it that vice cops in Miami used to carry the Randall #2 when arresting drug dealers, since they had more fear of blades than guns. Oh, I love that. Even if it's not true, or no matter what the truthiness, I love that, because that's a psychological. You pull that thing out, it's terrifying. Big 7-inch dagger with shiny hollow ground blade. A quick browse. I guess I only own 2 knives that I would consider tactical. Really? All right. Let us know. I mean, I consider them all tactical. Even this. Look at this. Here's a Finch Holiday. Look at that. It's practically the Elvia right here. You just reorient it. So they're all tactical, sir. But no, I'm serious, Michael. Let me know which ones you consider tactical, and let's give away this knife, this Steel Will Arcturus. Let me just talk about it real briefly. This is a D2 steel blade, a full-bellied clip point. Did I not join this damn thing? It's upside down. All right. My apologies. I thought I pressed join with my knife cam. All right, that's going to have to do. All right, so it's a full-bellied clip point, modified clip point blade there. It's coated, as you can see, coated D2 steel, which is usually a good thing to do on D2, even though it's pretty robust for a what do you call it? High carbon for a tool steel. And it's got the tan G10 handles, really nicely contoured. Incidentally, great in reverse grip, but you'll be using this mostly in a saber grip or a Filipino grip. This would be a great work knife, and also a very good with that high flat grind and the thin behind the edge geometry. This would be a great cardboard knife, for instance. So this is a good EDC blade, as well as what we were talking about before. In a pinch, this would be somewhat menacing. It might present the sort of attitude you want to present if you were looking to discourage someone from laying hands on you, I guess. But this thing is an excellent knife. It's a flipper, and it's a looker. So thank you, Dave. This Old Sword Blade Reviews. If you guys don't know This Old Sword Blade Reviews, I'm pretty sure you do. But if you don't, go check out his catalog. He's got a full catalog of videos in the relatively short time he's been on YouTube. And I say that because we just did a trade, and he urged me to check out his YouTube to see if there's anything I wanted. And yes, there were plenty of things I wanted. And I'm not going to tell you what I chose and what we. But I was shocked at how many videos he's posted already. And his videos are really excellent, because not only are they cool knives, and not only does he have a really great perspective, being a colleague great and a lifelong knife collector, but he also gives you the specs and stuff, but he doesn't batter you over the head with it. He kind of puts it discreetly down in a lower third and talks about it a little bit, but really he talks about the philosophy of the knife and and really shows it up close. So definitely check out Dave, This Old Sword Blade Reviews. And he's also been very kind to this channel, not to mention just a good friend. So thank you, Dave. All right, let's bring up that wheel. And as we do, I'm going to read off the names of the Gentleman Junkies. These are people at the $10 support level, $10 per month on Patreon. And whether you're a gentleman junkie, a tactical junkie, or a traditional junkie at the $5 and $3 levels, respectively, you are greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you ever so much for your trust in me and in Jim, and for the resources you've afforded us. We have Jared Strasbaugh. He's our most recent gentleman junkie. Welcome, Jared. We have Shane Miller, Sean Curry, Ryan, that's North Code 1229. We have OG1 Kenobi. We have Chris Wolf, Joseph Strycharts, Ben Belkin, the great and powerful. We have Jason Edwards, Martin Gamboa, John Ladner, Kurt Cromco, Ezekiel Yates and his father Jonathan. You know them as Slasher Knife Reviews, and or Blade, sorry. Mr. Fileto. We have Jesse Tellis, Mike Latham from collectorknives.net, The Knife Whisperer Joe. We have Edwin Callow, our resident Emerson expert, Ryan Leitner. Ryan was just here. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us. We have Caleb Townsend, Reed Martz, I'm sorry. I always put an umlaut over that for some reason. Kevin Seastrom. We have Jock from Across the Shock, and Timothy Becker. Thank you, one and all, for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Now we're going to put you on the wheel of destiny and see who will walk away with this Real Steel Arcturus. Real Steel, damn it, I did it again. Steel Will Arcturus. Jeez. There's something about teaching an old dog new tricks. All right, Jim. I'm going to take a sip of coffee and let's spin it. It is Jesse Tellis again. Jesse's a lucky man. Jesse, you have just won the Steel Will Arcturus in the July Gentleman Junkie giveaway, July 2021 Gentleman Junkie giveaway. I do believe Jesse won a couple months back. But just to reassure you all, this is a certified randomized wheel from the internet. So it is certified randomized by the internet. And, well, Jesse is just luckier than most of us. Jesse, congratulations, sir. I will have this in the mail to you, hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Monday. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to hear me go on and on about the Arcturus anymore. I will be going on and on about another knife next week. All right. Scott says, first thing they teach in Krav Maga when it comes to knife fight, resolve yourself. You're going to get cut and cut badly. Yes. Yes. And, you know, the Israeli IDF know something about combat. I took Krav Maga for a little while. And yeah, it's definitely a great martial art to train, especially if you have a limited amount of time to learn some stuff that you need to know. Blade Freak says, every knife I own has considered self-defense in the design. Not that I'm a knife fighter or anything. I just like options. I'm with you, Blade Freak, and I'll say it. I just like fighting knives. I think they are very appealing aesthetically, and they activate my imagination a bit. So let's talk about this. Do you consider self-defense when selecting a knife? Here's a recent purchase, a recent custom purchase. I had this made by Ron Steele of Ron Steele Designs. He's a relatively new knife maker who's just killing it. This is a design of his called the Prime. It's ordinarily a drop point without the secondary edge. I asked him to do that. I'll stick to fighting Amazon tape. Me too, man. Me too. But I could cut that Amazon tape coming and going with this one. But yeah, Ron Steele Design. Check him out on Instagram. He's got a beautiful. Okay, I'm going to stop saying that. He's got a compelling. I say that all the time too. He's got a great Bowie version of this knife, that is relatively new. And then he has a lot of other kind of more just fixed blade EDC type knives that I really like, and a great sheath. So many of these knife makers are just killing it with the sheaths too, and that is a big part of it. If you want to be able to carry these things on your daily adventures, you need a great sheath, not just retention, but a way to stash it or put it on your person in any case. Michael Morgan says, Civivi Praxis, not tactical. Hogue X5 Harpoon Spear Point, tactical. Cold Steel Spartan, tactical. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I couldn't disagree with any of those. I love, especially the Spartan. I mean, that's almost more than tactical. That's just fighting. It's a cool knife. I do like that. I've imagined stabbing a communist with oh my goodness gracious, with every knife I have. Even the butter knives. Maybe that would even be more rewarding. This Old Sword Blade Reviews. Thank you, sir. Hey, thank you, sir. And also thanks for, catching my blunder. I do it all the time. And I actually don't mind being corrected. Makes me smarter. Kraken says, World War II, the Cretan. Oh, yes. That's where I say it all the time. That's where I spent my honeymoon, on Crete. The Cretan resistance considered all edge tools tactical when that's all they had to take on the paratroopers. There was a great sculpture that I saw, like a statue, right by Prevely Beach, I think is what it was called, on the southern side of Crete. And it was a Catholic, like bishop type, in his long robe with it wasn't an M1 Garand, it was something like an Enfield rifle or something, and it was in bronze, and it was overlooking the shore down below. Very cool. And it's cool that you bring up the resistance in Crete. One could use the Hoback Husky as a baton. Oh my God, yeah, that thing with its 1/4-inch thick blade and its 1/4-inch thick slabs, nearly an inch thick. I guess that, with the little tiny space between the blade and each side, and then you take the clip into consideration. That's probably an inch thick. That thing is a beast, especially if you get the full tie version. Michael Morgan says, do you think a 0562 tie is tactical? I do. I have the CF version of that. And I do. I mean, it's 4 1/4 inches long. It's got that long, slender blade. It's very, I would consider that tactical. Though with the tie, I mean, like if you're going to use it actually, Black Multicam, thank you, sir. I'll join Gentleman Junkie one of these days. Well, I appreciate this super chat. That's awesome, man. Thank you. And do that instead. Join the Gentleman Junkies, and then you have a chance to win. And as you can see, your chances are still pretty good, especially if Jesse doesn't win. Thanks again, Black Multicam. Much, much appreciated, sir. Very generous. But I was just saying about the 0562. Oh wait, 05. Oh, I was thinking of the 452, but the 562 tie, that's the hinderer, slicer. Yeah, that's pretty tactical. I would put that. Yeah, I would feel comfortable. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable at all. But I mean, to me, if I felt in danger and had that in my pocket, I'd feel better off. Let me put it that way. Mark Nelson says, guilty of looking at most knives from a self-defense point of view. That's not guilt. Case in point, that Off-Grid Knives Camp Chef knife, my butt, that's a Sachs. I agree. It's thin enough to be a great cook knife. I mean, chef's knife, we used it on vacation, but yeah. And if you took that forward edge and even backed it up a little bit on your grinder and made it a little more like triangular, like this, yeah, that thing, whew, I agree. Kiefer, how's it going, sir? Great to have you here. Hello, everybody, he says. That's the man who gave me my Dolica. And I'm my Dolica. I always say Dolica. My Dolica. And I appreciate it greatly to be counted in among those ranks. Shane says, it's why I carry the Native Chief. Yeah, and that's a great example of a crossover EDC straight-up utility knife into a tactical knife because it's got the right grip that you're not slipping around on it. And but man, that long, thin blade, that long, thin, very pointy blade it's hard to stop, I would imagine. And not a pair of 3, says Shane Gable. Yeah. Pair of 3, I'm shallow. I tend to look at the aesthetics. Pair of 3, I'm sure it feels great in hand, but I'm not crazy about how it looks. Ash says, this has been very informative. My man, Nick EDCer, talks about different knives, and he always carries them well. And he always carries them as well. I have a new perspective about it now. I need a knife now. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. My wife carries, she was just carrying her Sinkovich. She's got a classy little Sinkovich Kershaw. Can't remember the name of it. Came out a couple of years ago. And she was doing something. She was searching for something in her purse. She pulls that out, drops it. We were out somewhere recently. Oh, this is when we were at Legoland. Oh, well, there it is. I went to Legoland. She pulled it out of her bag and accidentally, and it fell on the ground and it half opened, just like a scene in that movie, Christine. But anyway, it half opens and this woman walking by is like, oh, you know it, girl. Something like that. Like, I loved it. So yes, Ash, make it a mission. And I can't wait to see next week what you have gotten this week. Great to have you here. I'm glad you gained perspective on it. This old sword, Dave says, to some extent, always look at new acquisitions for having a useful point, edge, and positive opening if it's a folder. Ergos must be good and bond the handle to the hand. Yes, sir. While being flexible in positions. Okay, so that's something I go back and forth about. We talked about heavily contoured handles versus neutral handles. And, I see it both ways. There are some, here's an example. Here are 2 great fixed bladed examples. My number 16 by Randall Made Knives has a very, very, committal handle. You're committed to those grooves. There's not very much else you can do. But when that's in your hand, it sinks into your hand and you feel how attached you are. And here is a very neutral handled knife, the Mark III we were talking about before. And that thing also feels amazing, also melts into your hand, but gives you a lot more versatility in terms of if you're doing outdoorsy stuff and you're doing that chest pull thing and you need to hold your knife backwards, or heaven forbid, you're doing something like this, it still feels really good, if you want that. Or, you have something like this. If you're in reverse grip, you already have a sharpened edge on the back anyway, so you don't need to flip it around. So you could say those finger grooves will always be practical. But I'm with you, Dave. In theory, though, I really do like the heavily contoured and shaped blade handles, like on a lot of your Emersons and such. What do you think of this? I mean, this one commits you a bit. Right? You're definitely holding it like that. There's a simple elegance to the Applegate Fairbairn. Yeah. Yes, there is. And it's an improvement over the Sykes Fairbairn right here, because this had a circular, the handle and cross-section is circular. And the Dolica is tactical. It is tactical, bro. See that? When I say bro, I'm usually joking. But it is, dude. I agree with you. But the Applegate Fairbairn took this to a different level of practicality in my book, because they flattened out the handle in cross section, so it's not turning in your hand. All that being said, I've obviously never used either one of them for their intended purpose, so I bet they're both great. But it always occurred to me that the round handle on this dagger here could be an issue. But in a quick pinch, when you're trying to build a whole bunch of daggers quickly, it's probably easier to lathe those round ones. Blade Freak says, I am just really not a fan of fixie modeled after folders. They just have an awkward sole. Oh, interesting. If you're referring to this one, I'm not exactly sure if it's modeled after the folder, except the radial pattern, that sort of sunburst pattern, is definitely taken from the folder. This has maybe the blade geometry of the folder, but I see your point. Name another example. I'm trying to think of other examples of what you might be talking about. A fixed blade that was born of a folder. That's a good question. Oh, AK-47. The AK-47 by Cold Steel started as a folder, and now they make the fixed blade version. Oh, also like John Eck knife too. Yes, I've never had a John Eck knife, and I do really like those. I even like the look of the nylon sheaths they come with, and I also like the way the handle is sculpted. Good example for a folder would be the SOG Pentagon XR. Right size, grippy handle, and neutral handle for point up or point down. Interesting second choice would be the Boker Pocket Smatchet. Interesting, because to me, the Pentagon XR, Pentagon XR. Okay, I was thinking the Seal XR, because that Seal XR folder, the one that you just got, Dave, I found that the finger spacing was just intended for a slightly larger hand than mine. I mean, it was comfortable, and I liked it, and I would love to get it. But I remember thinking, I wish just one choil on this one. Sometimes that feels better. But the Pentagon, yes, it is neutral, and the Smatchet also with that, but it has the little bird's beak at the end to retain. I like it. Scott, the SR1. Help me. SR1. Which one is the SR1? I feel like this happens a lot. Is that the Lion Steel? Yes, a VV Elementum Hinderer XM folder. They are definitely. Okay. Are definitely others. Yeah, the XM, and then they made the Yep. Yeah, the Elementum too. Right. But the XM's not obviously not the XM folder, but the knives that they created recently, and I'm not talking about the K-bar that Hinderer did. I actually think the ranch model Bowie and whatever. I actually think they look pretty good, though. I wouldn't mind a different handle to blade ratio. Good evening, sir. We have Knife Addict Life here. Yeah, we're just talking about. So you tell me, do you consider self-defense when selecting a knife? Either, the SR1 Cold Steel. Yeah, what a fool am I? Yes, of course. I think I just have that pushed out of my mind because I'd really like to have one, and I've never pulled the trigger on one. Yes, most certainly. But that also flexes into survival. But the way the grip is set up, you're not sliding off in either direction. Looks like it'd be great reverse with tapping with the thumb. And yeah, I would call the SR1 pretty, very much tactical, especially the or self-defensey, especially the Texo version. Personally, that secondary point there for the flick, So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting topic because to me, I came at the whole collecting from that weaponsy aspect. Always have. And that in the Rambo survival style aspect of it. But then I started doing Kali a long time ago, and then that really hardened that in me. And now there are very few knives that I don't think of in that way. The CRKT AG Russell Sting, small but effective. Scott, that's one of our bathroom knives. We have one of those fake. We have a plastic FXG knife in the shower, but outside of the shower we have that knife. My brother-in-law gave that to me one year for my birthday. I love that little knife. And by the way, that sheath is incredibly has great retention, even though it seems like it comes out easily. I just wish the Shaman was 4 inches, or Shaman. I do too. I would be way more apt to buy it. I don't know why I ever dragged my feet on it. Probably the price. I mean, with Spyderco's, I would probably have a lot more Spyderco's if they were priced just a little bit lower. because I'm just not that crazy about them. I mean, you wouldn't guess. I have 12 or 13 of them, but I don't know. I just always feel like they're more than I want to spend on them. I don't consider it as a factor, but have managed to fill the collection with plenty of able contenders, subconsciously or conscious. Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, here, look at this. Here we have the off-grid Cayman. I've been showing this one recently. A lot of people, Dave just did a video of this one recently. It's a great EDC. It's about 3 1/4 inches. It's right in that sweet spot, for EDC. But look at that blade profile. I mean, first of all, it fits the hand beautifully. There I go again. But in reverse grip and with that blade profile, this would make a wicked self-defense knife in a in a pinch if you really needed it. So a lot of the knives we have, like I said before, with this holiday, it's just such a nice little semi-traditional, semi-modern knife, but put it tip down, edge in, and suddenly it's like a fruit knife. It's like one of those Pikal knives that everyone rages about. So really, they all can flex, right? They can all flex into that role. The question is, do you consider that role? I definitely do. I know you all know that, and I've been going on about it. Okay, to be honest, knives are more tools than self-defense for me. Never had any training for fighting. However, you better not bring your knife to a gunfight, or have both, obviously. But yeah, I mean that's Okay, so guy I've had on the show a couple of times, Ian Lewis. He's world-class martial artist, and I used to train with him, and I intend to as soon as I feel better. I think my shoulder's pretty much there. So I guess laziness is now my excuse. But we were at my work building, kind of down near the loading dock, and we were training, doing some Kali stuff and some flow stuff, going from having a knife to not having a knife to, just different kind of Jeet Kune Do and Kali stuff. And this guy walks through the loading dock, and he's like, he sees us with what we're doing. And granted, maybe work was not the best place to be, training with knives and stuff. They were training knives, fake knives. And this guy's like, I just carry a gun. Or he said something like, I have a gun. And my response was, well, I have a gun too. It's like, just because I'm training with this knife, or just because I think of this knife as a weapon, doesn't mean I don't also think of guns as weapons. I mean, I love guns, just not as much as these. But Kiefer, your point is well taken. It like someone said before, if you're down to your knife, things are awful. Things have gone awful. But if you're using your gun, things are awful too, right? I mean, if they made the off-grid Black Stallion a fixed blade, I'd buy it. The grip feels great. The grip does feel great, and that blade is awesome. That sheep's foot blade, and it's so nicely thin and so nicely ground. Monsters here, how you doing, sir? Everyone, please remember to hit that like button. Show Bob and Jimmy your appreciation for another great live stream. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to do it the way I've been taught. Hit the like button. Okay, so hit the like button. Anyone know where I got that? What watch is that, Bob? This is it's a Seiko number 5 field watch. And this is the one made in Japan. They have several models of this watch. And I just wanted the one made in Japan. I just heard they were better. So it's better. Thank you for noticing. I do love this watch. I've been wearing it so much recently. I just love it. It's simple and it's automatic. It does make a weird, some automatics are silent. Listen to this one. You can hear all the guts spinning around and winding up when you move it. But in a way, I've grown to like it. Let me put it that way. But I'm not sneaking up on anybody with this watch. There's a rumor that you can cut the bottom of a coin pocket in blue jeans, and it lets you carry a much longer blade that's much harder to notice. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, or so I've been told. A friend once told me. All right, Mark, what do you carry in your coin pocket? The one thing is the sitting down aspect. We have Blade Ogre here. How you doing, Blade Ogre? That's Chris, the Bowie fanatic. Chris, I have this here tonight. I know you like Bowies. I thought I'd show this to you. I love this thing. Put it down here next to these other things I like. Cloud9, gonna throw this out there. I have the new Cold Steel Tiger Claw, full serrations, XHP, looking for a trade for the SOCP dagger. That's the Benchmade, right? The little Benchmade with the ring. Man, those tiger claws are wicked and ridiculously dangerous. I mean, you got to be careful when you close those. And the full serrations just make it. It's like the full serrations on the Black Talon. They're just, oh man, it's overkill in the best sort of way, of course. So check out. I'm sorry, Jim. Could you just go back to that real quick? Well, anyway, if you're interested, check out that as a trade option. Hello, hey, Mr. Valledo, great to have you here. Hello, fellow gentlemen of the blade, and we have ladies here tonight. My favorite defense blade for me would have to be an OTF, Guardian Tactical Recon 040, in particular with the Tanto blade, murdered out for concealment, of course. You know what I like about those Tantos on the Guardians? Are how the front portion, I can never remember what that portion is called. Do I have a Tanto around here? I don't. Huh. Well, I like how that front portion is hollow ground, right? Don't they really deeply hollow grind that front? Almost makes it like one of those ventilation pens, you know what I'm talking about? First Nations Project, great to have you here. Hello from Toronto, Canada. Oh, that's great to have you here. I like that waterfall. It looks beautiful. First Nations Project. I've been reading, if First Nations is what I think it is, I've been reading something on Native Americans from down here, the Comanche. Whew. Shane says, "Don't start with the watches. Damn it! I know. Well, I'm very disciplined with watches. First Nations. Oh, protected. Sorry. What did I say? Project. Jeez, I'm getting tired. But yeah, First Nations protected. Okay. Same comment back to you, though. Nick Edie say I should get her something from Wingard Wearables. Yeah. We can be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, put yourself back to back and fight your way out of the bar. You know what I'm saying? These, you might consider the slim quill. This is the regular quill. It carries in a bunch of different handholds. Bang. And, just looks like a little piece of sculpture. Waiting on the Dylan Mallory design with the armor sheep's foot. Armor sheep's foot. Oh, yeah, that's the one he's been posting a lot on Instagram recently. And I think was he doing a lottery or something? That is awesome. Yes, Nick, do it. Yeah, I agree. Or get if you get a Mali Empress, I think the Mali ones are much shorter. This is the back ripper, but the Empress is already shorter than this. And then the Mali the handle is thinner and I think even a little shorter. Might be able to put in a daily carry bag very easily. I know I can carry my my regular size Empress in my backpack, so it might fit in a woman's bag too. Cloud9 says, I bought the Tiger Claw and Black Talon together 3 months ago and only have carried the Talon. Okay, so it's Cloud9 looking for the trade. If you have that SOCP dagger, check him out. Nice, brought the off-grid Cayman, and we'll have another Bowie in the family soon. Ooh, which one? Do tell. Unless you're keeping it under your hat until you show it off on Instagram. Chicago 23, great to have you here from Chicago. My favorite tactical knife is the Microtech Stitch. Whew. I do love the Stitch. I really like the Microtech. I've never handled it, but I've watched it handled quite a bit. But I would, if I were to get a Stitch, I would love to get a Borka Custom. Those things are just gorgeous. Peter, how's it going? Good to have you here. Therapeutic Edge is with us. Man, he's been tearing it up lately with just some really, really awesome knives. Got a Kaiser Grazioso this week. It is very sweet. I got the copper black G10 version. Well worth the money. It seems like a knife double the price. I know we talked about that on the supplemental, the Grazioso. I'll have to re-look that up. Well, I have a Kaiser coming to me. It's a trade from Dave, and that's all I'm going to tell you, and then I'll show you what that is when it comes in. But I'm very much looking forward to it. Mark Nelson says, my coin pocket carry has been the Rough Rider Giant Warncliffe. 5.25-inch blade. Poor man's cold steel frenzy. Oh, okay. Tip down so nothing hangs up in the pocket. Only time I like tip down. Interesting. So when you sit, is that an issue? Just curious. Is that an issue? Tip down so nothing hangs up. That stitch is never leaving my collection. Oh, man. Okay. I've heard that from other people, too. They just love the stitch. And they're not as easy to find as some other knives. Anyway, Shane says that Grazioso is beautiful. Very classy. Speaking of the stitch and cool Microtech collaboration autos, what about the Bastinelli Switchblade Karambit that he made with Microtech? How awesome would that be? And why do I never see that out there? You just kind of hold it with the ring, and the button is up by the ring, and it flips out, and oh man, that just looks awesome. First Nations Protected says, I like the Topps California Cobra. Good choice. And a unique blade. Anyone else have it? Opinions? I think, let's see. Who has the California? Oh, okay. I know he's not here with us tonight, and I don't think he ever has been. But Tactical Knives and Gear on YouTube. He's a pretty big channel. He has a couple of videos on the California Cobra and loves it. I think it looks cool, and that's one of those knives that I've flirted with getting many times because it looks very useful. You could, it's sharp on both sides, it's curvy, and to me, I like sharp on both sides and curvy because you kind of get that clawing motion, but it also has that glass breaker, that protruding guard with the glass breaker on the end, which seems like it could be a glass breaker to get you out of a car, or it could be a pain compliance, tool or whatever. It's a very interesting knife. And I think that's one of the reasons that has never been discontinued. Peter says, also, I continue to call Microtech Microsoft. Too many years in tech. That's like my real steel will. Yes, I'll take the Microsoft Twitch. Got a few big things from Smokey during their recent 4th of July sale, including the last Chinese war sword machete. Nice. The Blackthorn walking stick. Nice. That's the real wood one, right? And the Huntsman Bowie, all for $30 or less, for about $30 or less. The Huntsman Bowie. Is that the real big one with this kind of squared off handle? $30. Damn. Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. That's a folder, I think. Peter, your pocket protector is showing. Yes. It's really, really awesome. Cloud9 says, First Nation Protected. I have the Topps. I bought one after I went through a clinch pick phase. It's a nice knife, little bulky for its size. Cloud9, I love that you went through a clinch pick phase because, first of all, I love that you go through phases that specific because I do too. But I have been looking at clinch picks on and off for a year now. And so maybe that is a clinch pick phase, but I have yet to pull the trigger. I like that Blackthorn, says Sean C. Yeah, I think that's that big knobby shillelagh type walking stick. I have a few clinch picks, says First Nations Protected. Nice. I'm a big fan of the clinch pick. I like the guy who designed it. What's his name? I always forget. He's Southern Narc on Instagram, but I can never remember his name. But his videos about how to use it and why he designed it that way are fascinating. He's an interesting guy, man. With teaching people how to fight in cars and all that. I think it's really, really cool. So obviously an interesting topic of interest here. We've touched a nerve tonight. But I have a new knife to show you that is decidedly untactical, but just it's something else that I also like. It's charming and good-natured, and my wife really liked it. She used it tonight to open up. We got 3 Amazon packages, and she used it, and she was like, "Ooh, sharp." And I was like, "Baby, when have I ever handed you a dull knife?" But I took it, instead of saying that, I was like, "Yeah, it's." Whenever your wife or your girlfriend or significant other shows any sort of interest or appreciation for a knife, you have to foster it and get them excited about it. And she's easily excited by knives, but this one she really liked. Tops unzipper is yes. Okay, so before I show this off, I was at the Tops booth at a Blade show, and oh my gosh, it's like a wonderland. They have like a million of their million designs. They have them like all of them out on the table, and they're all kind of like almost on top of each other. Some of them are on top of each other. It's just like it's just a multitude of awesome Tops knives, and I've been looking for the Tops unzipper. I grabbed it. It feels awesome in hand. There's one thing I would do if I got it. It really literally is the Lioness, just with the other side sharpened. So everything about the Lioness is the unzipper, including the pommel. So the pommel kind of comes up to more of a pointy point than you want. So I would, it's the tang protrudes from the handle scale. So all I would do is take that bit to the grinder and remove that little extra bit of tang there, and it would feel great. But like on the whole, the unzipper is awesome. The only knife my wife had okay, that's a cool knife, was my SNG she bought me for my birthday. Nice, man. Obviously, she's a keeper. She's buying you an SNG for your birthday. Gotta run. Have a great night, all. Peter, it was a pleasure. Thanks for coming, man. Always a pleasure to see you in the comments and to see you here and to watch your videos. Take it easy, man. Chris Blade Ogre says the Cold Steel Blackthorn walking stick is some type of poly, okay, with wood at the very top and packs quite a wallop. No doubt, man. If there's anything Lynn Thompson knows, and he knows a lot, it's impact weapons. Anyone have a Pikal? I'm looking for the right one. I have a number of them right here with me, though. This is the only Pikal I have right in front of me. And it's sharpened on both sides, which I really like. Made it late, but made it. Alex, great to have you here. We just invoked your name earlier. It's always great to know you're here and watching. This Pikal knife is probably a little bigger than you're talking, because it's a nearly it's a 3 1/4 inch blade. I have the Copus Design Blade Works, or Copus Designs, or whatever. I think it's Copus Designs. They're Pikal, and it's like a 2 1/2 inch little fruit knife, and it's awesome. A great thing. Thank you. This is a handmade Dirk Pinkerton. I love it. I really, really prize that thing. If you're really jonesing for one and you want to kind of get yourself into it, get the Victorinox. Really, get the Victorinox fruit knife. Heat up the handle, bend it. Make sure that when you bend it, you hold it in position. Otherwise, it'll spring back as it cools. And file the little groove out for your finger. Maybe wrap it in paracord. I have 3 of those. One of them's in the car, and 2 of them are down here. And it's a great, inexpensive way to get into a Pikal knife. And it really, to me, embodies the spirit of it in the first place, you know. So that's just a suggestion. Not telling you what to do. It's just a suggestion. Karambit recommendations. I like the Fox 599. I know that's pretty old. I also have the Super Karambit by Emerson. That's an awesome knife. I feel like any folding Karambit And I have no fixed blade karambits to recommend because I just don't have any. But I feel like any folding karambit has to have a wave style opening feature to it. Otherwise, it really makes no sense. Incognito, good to have you here. Hello, sorry I came late. So what are we talking about? We're just at the tail end of do you consider self-defense when selecting a knife? And it was quite a robust conversation. You missed out, Incognito. No, I'm just kidding. Let me know, do you consider self-defense when selecting a knife? That's either in the morning when you're deciding what you're going to carry that day, or on those late night drunken buying sprees. Do you think about self-defense when selecting a knife? Hag90, good to have you here. Karambit is overrated. Karambit requires training for sure, whereas a Pikal knife doesn't really require much training. I mean, that being said, of course, like Libra fighting is all based around the Pikal style knife or the fruit knife or whatever. And yes, you can take that level. I mean, the guy who started Libra fighting, I've seen him do Kali. I mean, he's awesome. And I have no doubt he's awesome at karambit too. But, karambit is, to me, I've come to feel like it's a bit of an unnatural motion. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. And, but there's a lot of fine motor manipulation happening to do the real cool karambit stuff. And I'm sure Dave, who's really an expert at karambit, could tell us more about that or what he thinks about that. But I feel like if you wanted a curved bladed implement with something with a curved blade, you might be better suited with a Pikal style tip down edge in style knife, because you could rely on your gross motor motions. You're always going to have those. At least you're not always sure you have all the dexterity to do some of the karambit stuff. I don't know, but I do feel like if you do get a karambit, make sure that it's tip up and that it has a wave on it or some sort of pocket deployment feature, so that when it comes out of your handle, it's in the right. It comes out of your pocket, it's in the right way. Otherwise, you have to open it like this and turn it in your hand, or prep it in your hand and use your other hand or whatever. That's just my 2 cents. For a very short period of time, carried a karambit. And I just have a couple now. I don't really use them. Incognito says, every time, that's why I carry them. Every time. That's why I carry my Vaquero every day. And sometimes shadow fight with it. Good man. I love that Vaquero. And not only is it nice to carry to feel safe, but it's just beautiful to look at. I train Libre, previously Kali and Silat. So you're a good guy to ask then. Would you agree that using a Pikal style knife and tip down edge in style knife is more intuitive than a karambit? Dun, dun. That is my question. I'd love to know what you think. Karambit is the deadliest shape. It can hook and tear skin and arteries. That is true, but so can a Pikal. And I guess what I'm arguing right now is that you might do all of those things with greater ease under stress with a knife that you're gripping with the edge pointed in. That has more of a stabbing application. I mean, I know you can throw jabs to great effect with a karambit, no doubt, and get a hooking, gouging nastiness out of it. But I have a small Bastinelli karambit, tiny. It's usable, small. Yeah, well, right. All the original Silat or Indonesian karambits for fighting were small and hideable, right? I mean, that was kind of the point. I know karambits grew out of the sugarcane scythes or sickles or whatever, but when they were shrunk down to be carried and used as weapons, they were very small bladed. Like I think you're talking about like not the diagnostic, that's the 2-finger one, but the I know which one you're talking about. But what do you think about that? I'm down with my good old USMC K-bar. Yes, sir. Forget those little small things. have a K-bar right here. We were talking earlier. Oh, almost cut my mic again, Alex. We were talking here earlier about a Marine. Alex is a former Marine who thwarted a knife attack. He was empty-handed, and he some scumbag was stabbing a woman, a receptionist at a hotel he was staying at, and the guy just went for him and kneed the crap out of him until he gave up and ran off. So never underestimate a Marine, never underestimate a K-bar, a karambit, a Pikal style knife, any of these things we're talking about. I will just practice more with the Empress then. Yes. Yeah, man. Tomahawks. You know, if you can manage to carry a tomahawk in your daily carry, man, if you Hag 90 says, training Kali will make most normal style blades functional. Anything too specialized requires training. I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure. And it also depends on, I'm sure Dave would agree with this. It also depends on where you train Kali and how you train it. I mean, there's a lot of beauty in that. And then there's, you know, functionalizing it with sparring. My favorite tactical knife is my Cold Steel GI Tanto, $30 of death. GI Tanto. Oh, yeah. It looks kind of like a K-bar, right? That's the one with the handle that looks a bit like a K-bar. Love these knives. I love these K-bars, especially these older ones with the sharpened swedge. I mean, that's almost hair shaving sharp right there. Shane Gable says, my favorite oh, okay, I just read that. Sorry. Karambit takes skill. Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with you. PY knife and red folder by Bastinelli are my EDCs. That is you sound just like my friend Ian. He carried the PY for years. Now he's carrying the chopper. You know, the chopper, that's that little, it's a smaller Bastinelli trailing point. That's a cool one too. That PY is awesome. I had that here. I borrowed it from my buddy Ian with the what is that Gnunting that the Separateur. I had that for so long, and I felt bad, but I felt good having it. You must train with what you carry. Yeah. But at the same time, you also have to be able to just use whatever happens to be. And I'm quite sure you would agree with me on that. Use whatever is at hand, you know. Jesus, anything you don't have? Cloud9 says, you know what? No, this is what I do, Cloud9. Before the show, I pick out knives. This is sort of like sleight of hand. I pick out knives that I think we might be talking about. I steer conversation in those directions. Then when people bring them up, I'm like, oh, I just so happen to have one of these. Yeah, this is a good conversation because it seems like we have a lot of people. I have Wolverine. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's my 10-year-old fantasy. And I thought maybe when I dislocated my shoulder, I thought maybe they'd offer me at the hospital an adamantium replacement with a couple of blades, but I think that was a little more than my insurance would give. I've experienced hit and miss with K-bar, inconsistent edges, sharp out of the box, and some dull. Yeah. I got Jim a K-bar a while back, and it happened to be really nice. I haven't had too many K-bars. This was a gift from my brother in 1991, and at the time, it was a reissue from World War II. So it came with the blueprint. I think it was on the box, and then a folded fake blueprint of the original design of this. It's great. But I mean, if you look at this, there's oh damn. All right, lost the knife cam again. If you look at this, you'll see an inconsistency in the edge. You'll see this wavy edge. All right. Let me show you this real quickly. I'm going to use this camera here. I just got this. This is the Finch 1929, and it is such a cool little folder. Damn it, that knife cam is pissing me off. But here it is next to the Runtley. So you can see, I did not know from pictures that it is such a small knife. But this 1929 Spencer from Finch sent it to me. And he's a great guy. They're such a cool company. But I expressed some interest in it. And he was like, well, let me send you one. And I said, no, please don't. And then he did anyway. And I'm glad I stipulated I like the red bone. But this thing is so smooth. And so this is the knife that my wife borrowed tonight to open up some boxes. And one thing I discovered is it really is incredibly sharp. I mean, this thing came really sharp, but it's also really thin and flat ground fully. It's a full flat ground knife. And I think it's shaped, even though it's got this very nostalgic look to it, with the badge and the bolster and the bone. I think that blade is very evocative of a scalpel. It's very scalpel-like. So I really like this little knife. So I'm going to be showing this off on the midweek supplemental in greater detail. I just got this a few hours ago, and I'll be doing a close-up video of this. I also am going to be doing a close-up video of the Finch Cimarron. I love this knife too. I carried this. This is an unusual thing. I actually carried this as my front right pocket EDC knife the other day. And I wasn't thinking of this as my self-defense knife. Of course, I had this with me just in case. But it's so rare that I'll do that I'll carry something that isn't, bigger and a little more my taste in terms of the grr factor. But this is a great little knife. I'm a Cold Steel Junkie too, Master Tanto 3V. I love the Master Tanto. Master Tanto, I got my first Master Tanto, my first one and only, still in the drawer by my bed. It has been since 1988. 1988. I bought it from Remington Knife Company, a knife store in a shopping mall called Randall Park Mall, which is no longer there, but outside of Cleveland. And my friend had told me about that knife, and he was like, yeah, the CIA uses it and they can punch through car doors with it. I'm like, oh my God. So I love the Master Tanto. That is my first Cold Steel ever, and will always, always, always be in my collection. But Mark says, Bob, do you need to get that Wharncliffe you made in production somewhere? You need to get that what Wharncliffe? Which one? Oh, the one. I think did I show off a red-handled one? I have one that I keep up kind of near the door that I made. Thank you. I mean I will take that. I take that as a compliment. But now, since you say that, I'm curious which one you mean. What you mean, because I've made a couple of Wharncliffe-y kind of things, and I don't remember what I've shown off. But I think it's that one, and I think Tops would make a good version of it. Shane says, I wish it was an option to buy knives with no apex, just a bevel and a little handle rest, and I'll handle the rest. I'm sorry. Then no burnt edge. Interesting. Shane, this comes up a lot, huh? The burnt edge. Does anyone get super excited when we actually have Amazon Prime boxes to open? Yeah, you know what I get super excited about in terms of, because First Nations, I have all these knives and very little to do with them, like practically speaking. I have lawn work, I have vines to cut back all the time, so I have a couple of legitimate tasks to do with them, but when anything comes up, I get excited. But something we do here a lot, or it seems like we do, is get IKEA things. My daughters, they're constantly changing their rooms around, and instead of getting real fancy or just like real, furniture or expensive furniture, we'll get IKEA stuff, and they box the crap out of those things. So there's always, not always, but when the big batches of boxes come through, I like breaking them down. And then I also like batoning wood for our fire our fire pit out back. But these are all unnecessary things that I like to do with the knives. Mark says, the one you forgot to drill handle pin. Oh, yes, that one. Thank you. That one is pretty cool, I gotta say. And if it were lighter, yeah, that one looks a bit like a Fred Perrin knife, I gotta say. Hawaii, how's it going, sir? Joining us from Hawaii Knife and Gear. Good to have you. So one thing I want to talk about, one new knife release. Does anyone know about Sencut? I was looking on Knife Life News, and there are 2 new Sencut knives out. And I was like, who's Sencut again? Like, are they, they're a new Chinese manufacturer, but are they good? Like, I don't know anything about Sencut. And I saw this one and I was like, eh. And then I scrolled down to the next knife and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And then it got me wondering, like, I do like the look of that knife quite a bit. Does anyone here know much about Sencut? And does anyone here have a Sencut or have any experience? I'd be interested just to hear from you what you think, because I think this one is pretty cool. It's called the Episode. And it looks like your thumb fits perfectly in that swale right behind that harpoon swedge. And the handle looks just right. The pommel looks perfect for reverse grip, for putting your thumb over the back, that angle there I like. And the blade is just very appealing to me. Something about this, well, the look of this knife really is compelling to me. And I don't know if it's worth it, or I don't know if I should get it just to check it out or what. So does anyone have any Sencut experience out there? Sencut, anyone? And well, I want to find that out from you, but you can respond to that question about Sencut as I announce what the knife fight is tonight, because clearly I am doing the knife fight. But first, make sure you check out TheKnifeJunkie.com, and everything, show notes and all sort of background material on our episodes are uploaded there. And you know how you find them? You find them by episode. So this coming weekend, this coming Sunday, is episode 234 with John Demko. If you want to find notes for that, if you want to find the podcast itself, if you want to find the interview and the backup materials to that, you just go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/234, and it brings you right there. But we're not just a podcast here. We're not just a pretty face. We also have Instagram. Definitely check out the Instagram page, because I give little updates on who's on the show. We put up audiograms every week. And lately I've been posting a lot of pictures of just kind of what I'm carrying, and little setup for their little photo sessions I have with my knives. I guess a lot of people do that, and it's a little embarrassing, but check out the knives there. And then also check out the close-up videos on the YouTube channel, because I do get up close and personal with the knives. I turn on the camera, I start yammering, and then 15 minutes later, after I've done like a million comparisons, the video is done, and I can't believe I've spoken for that long. So you might find something of utility in those 15 minutes there. Or if you just want to get a close-up view of some knife under an HD camera that works sometimes, definitely check out our YouTube. Sencut is Civivi, no? Oh, I don't know. Geez, did I read this article? I think I read it. I don't remember reading about Civivi. Sencut might be... Oh, wait, are they... All right, you know what? I'm going to do my research and get back to you. I realize now that I didn't really read this article. Sorry, but I don't see anything about Civivi in it, so I don't know. But maybe they are like budget Civivi, which I thought is what Civivi is in the first place. All right, y'all, I am getting tired, and it is almost midnight here. So I'm going to do this knife fight, and unless anyone wants to jump on for a hot minute and knife fight me. It's Jimping versus Contouring. And what I'm talking about here, I thought they bumped Civivi's to the 80-ish, and then Sencuts were the new budget brand. God, really? Huh. I think you're about right, because Civivi's are about that. It is. Okay. All right. So Sencut is no doubt going to be high quality then. If it's coming out of the Wii factory or the Civivi factory, it's going to be worth the whatever they're charging for it. And I really like the look of that episode. And actually, one clue for me should have been 9CR13 MOV, because I've never seen anyone else use 9CR except when Civivi first hit the scene. They were using it a lot. So that makes sense now. Have a great night, everyone. Bob and Jim, thanks for the gabber. Here's the thing. He just doesn't want to bear the pathetic spectacle of me arguing with myself. So thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful week. And check out episode 234 of the Knife Junkie podcast on Sunday with John Demko. You'll be happy you did. All right. So this week's knife fight, Jimping versus contouring. What do I mean by that? Well, Jimping for grip, or no jimping. Oh, where'd it go? No jimping, but pure contour for grip. All right. Why do I do this to myself? All right, here we go. Okay. 3, 2, oh, I am watching. Oh, man. All right. 3, 2, 1. Jimping. No, wait. Let me start from the top. Okay. All right. I'm going to go with contouring first. All right. 3, 2, 1. Contouring in the grip of a knife, especially a pocket knife, is far more important than jimping. Jimping is a textural indexing item. It's a way to know how your knife is indexed and how you're oriented. But I will posit that contouring not only allows you to know how your knife is indexed and how it's oriented, it also positively locks your hand into the handle. Whereas jimping is just a feel-good measure. It's like it's something that's there to reassure you, but other than the psychological benefits, it has no benefit. Pure contouring matches the hand that you were born with. It matches and locks into, hand in glove, locks into your hand in such a way that you're not going to lose purchase on the knife. Jimping is a really, if you look back through time, jimping is a bit of a fad, and it really caught fire here in this knife community with YouTuber Nut and Fancy, who just was pretty much, well, he was one of the first knife YouTubers, knife porn purveyors, if you will. And his on and on about jimping really got it set into the common mind and in the hive mind that it was necessary. But really, it's something that appears on a knife to make you feel good and to make you feel like you have a strong grip. If your thumb is really pushing against some nicely cut jimping, and I will admit there is such a thing, then you feel like you have a good purchase on the knife. But in a case like this with no contouring and just jimping, you're fooled. You're being fooled. This knife could easily slip right out of your hand. So I say that contouring definitely is the superior grip enhancer to jimping. Thank you. Boy, that's a hard act to follow. Gee whiz. What am I going to say? All right. I'm going to use the same example in 3, 2, 1. Our hands were not invented and developed, or were not created and developed to grip highly engineered tools with all sorts of dips and swales that just sort of patronize our hands. They were made to hold sticks like this, just a straight 2 parallel lines with some matter in between. That's what our hands were designed to make. This is what we're optimized to grip. The fact that there's jimping there just adds to the leverage. And who doesn't need leverage when they're cutting? This is not going to keep the knife in your hand, the jimping. It is going to keep your hand positively engaged with the knife. If you need all sorts of contouring and shapes and swirlies and swales and grooves to hold on to the knife, I say you need to work on your grip. You need to work on how you hold things, because you shouldn't have to have your hand held by the knife. You should be holding the knife. Jimping is just there. I'm not claiming jimping is the be-all, end-all of the grip. I'm just saying it is there to put the finishing touches of leverage. Push down, pull back. Push down, pull back, you know? So if you need all of this fancy stuff to keep a grip on your knife, I'd say you're not paying attention enough. This is how God made us. God made us to hold a stick. This is a stick. That jimping just helps you hold the stick. It's like bark. Scene. All right, what do you think? I think jimping won. I think jimping won on this one, actually. I wasn't expecting it to. I thought my jimping is best. I really thought my first argument was airtight. Jay Wilton 76, good to have you here. As long as the jimping doesn't look like it was done with a chainsaw file in a garage, jimping introduces stress risers. Interesting. Jay, what do you think of that kind of jimping? That sort of real large groove jimping. I like it, but I'm curious. Contouring 100%, says Mark. Bad jimping has ruined many knives for me. Oh, that's interesting. Bad jimping because it's uncomfortable. Is it too sharp, too nagging? SOG equals jimping. Okay, so Dave, this old sword blade reviews before was talking about his SOG Seal XR, a really awesome knife. But man, that thing is overly jimped, and I never thought I'd say that, but that thing has so much jimping. My Mora is my most comfortable knife, no jimping. I totally get that. Here's a very comfortable knife, no jimping. And it is pretty neutral. That's a pretty neutral grip. I mean, I've seen more neutral, but I've never felt like, oh, my thumb keeps slipping off. Matthew Lee, love aggressive jimping. Matthew, are you a fan of the finer jimping? Oh, you know what? Matthew, if you love aggressive jimping, you would love, and maybe you have one, but the 80-20 has awesome, slightly larger aggressive jimping on top, and then incredibly fine, but incredibly useful jimping right here and here. I don't think you can see it with my webcam, but it's like an ode to jimping without being overdone. But they really show their prowess in two different styles of jimping on one knife. It's awesome. Hawaii Knife and Gear says, properly done jimping is great. About 75% of the time, it's not right. When it just grabs your fingerprint ridges, but doesn't hurt. Yeah, I'm with you on that. These guys do jimping really well. Finch, my Vero Engineering Synapse has awesome jimping on it. Love that. Off Grid does good jimping. Spyderco has always done good jimping. This is really nice, on the back of the old Delica there. I know I do have some. Oh, here's some lame jimping on an awesome knife, but on the Crystal Aurora, there's some just ceremonial jimping or performative jimping. I don't know. It's jimping that's just there to look like jimping. Let's see. I remember when I first got my Mannix. Man, that jimping about cut into my thumb. Your Mannix, yeah. Yeah, Spyderco has always been aggressive with their jimping. Something Cold Steel has done for a long time is this sort of tease jimping, where they just sort of jimp the G10 but leave the lock bar unjimped. And so really it's just there for indexing. You feel it and you're like, okay, that's where my thumb is. But jimping equals bark, definitely one. Thank you. I thought that was a brilliant well, if I do say so myself, I thought that was a pretty good argument there. Wire ED. Hey, Neve. Hey, Jared. Good to have you here, sir. I was talking about the awesome edge you put on my EDC today, the sax. Wire EDM jimping is best, but not required. My hammer or pry bar doesn't have any. Yeah. Okay. That's my point. You don't need it, but it's nice to have. Jimping is almost useless even for camping. You don't need to put your thumb on top of the knife. It's not a natural way to grab a knife for a hard task. A little opinionated there, Incognito. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's definitely required. It's or is it just when I'm feeling tactical? I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, do I, like, if I'm cutting, usually it's kind of a hammer grip. And I think that's really what what Jared was just getting at. So interesting. Yeah, the hammer grip is usually what you end up using. How often do we find ourselves in a saber grip for much? Maybe for cutting paper on a cutting board, but then we usually go like this. Flat top, 1 millimeter ridge, 0.5 millimeter valley. Okay. Oh, flat top, 1 millimeter ridge, 0.5 millimeter valley. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I guess this is kind of like, no. These aren't that. I'm gonna have to try and see if I can use calipers to see what you're talking about. But I like how specific you are. You're a man who knows the jimping that he likes, and I appreciate that. Look at that. It's 2 minutes after midnight here on the East Coast. I think that's me. I got to get up in 6 hours. 6 hours. That's not that bad. But I know I'm not just going to go to bed. I'm going to go upstairs and sit on the screened-in porch and smoke this here La Grande Fabrica Drew Estates cigar that I've never tried before. But I like these little cigars. They're relaxing and nice. And I'll sit there and listen to the crickets and get myself ready for bed. I've had a lot of coffee tonight and I've talked quite a bit, as I'm sure you know. And so that'll be a way for me to come down before I get into bed, all stinky and nasty. All right, so please do remember, coming up on episode 234 this Sunday is John Demko of Demko Knives. What an awesome guy. It was really fun talking to him. I really like him as a person, and then just great to get his insight on doing a lot of running Demko Knives, and then also what it's like actually putting these things together, because he does a lot of that too. So do check out the interview on Sunday. It should be up probably around 3. Blah, blah. Good to have you, blah. Putting your thumb on the jimp increases pressure. I can't disagree with you on that for sure. But putting your thumb on this non-jimped space also increases the pressure. But I like where your mind is. Michael says, thanks, Bob and Jim. Well, thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Good night, sir. And a pleasant week to you. Mark, good night to you, and have an awesome week. And that's right. It's Friday Eve. So have a wonderful Friday, one and all. And, take good care of your knives. Take good care of your people. Do that in reverse. Take good care of your people first, of course. Take good care of your knives. And check in with us on Wednesday. I'll have more perseverating. Love that $5 word on this knife, the Finch 1929 with the red saw cut bone. It's really a great little knife, and I'm excited to start carrying it. And there will be other stuff too. So for Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco saying thanks for joining us. It's always great to have you. And definitely, no matter what happens over this next week, no matter how dire, don't take dull for an answer.